Hey everybody, this is Miss Lawson, and today I'm going to show you a little bit about Adobe Premiere Pro, how to be more organized, and of course some details for Project 4, which is this week is all kind of about editing a documentary. So as you can see, we have Premiere Pro loading right now, and this is the 2020 version. If you're using another type of editing interface, that is going to be fine, as most of them are very similar. Now, as Premiere's opening, what I want to show you right now is my work folder, and as you see, I have made a Project 4 folder, and I have acquired the footage and the still images that we need from the OneDrive. This is the same as every week, except this week I have organized these, which is what I would like you to do. We should have 5 video files in your footage folder, and you should have 6 still images, that's a PNG or a JPEG image, within your still images folder. And then both of those reside in your Project 4 folder. So let's go ahead and let's get back to Premiere. And let's see what that does. So here we are in Premiere Pro 2020. I'm going to go ahead and select New Project here. And like I said before, this week we're going to talk a lot about organization, and we're going to create a project that benefits greatly from organization, and like I said, that is called a documentary. So let's go ahead and we're going to name this Project 4. And I'm going to put my name. And I was last in Project 3. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I'm going to Project 4 folder this time. Here we go. I'm just going to go ahead and say OK and leave all of those settings how they are. Now what we're going to do with this documentary is we will take a very short section from a longer documentary and edit it together with B-roll footage to complement it. So this week is rather straightforward. You're going to have your peer review forms to do. You need to do it for at least 2 of your fellow classmates over any of the projects that have been submitted. Make sure you are critiquing those honestly. Then you'll also have a couple other projects, this project and then the quiz. So here in Premiere Pro, what we can do now that we have downloaded from the OneDrive link all of these different files, right, our MOV, which are QuickTime files. Those are encoded, by the way, using ProRes proxy. That's a little bit of a low bit version of ProRes. Just some details to see when you're looking in there. Think about those codecs and container formats that we spoke of last week. There's also going to be some PNGs and JPEGs that you're going to use within this project. And again, you're going to want to extract from that zip drive when you download and put them in 2 folders within a folder called Project 4. You want to do that before you get started. Okay, now organization is often needed before you can begin to import stuff into an editing program. Otherwise, it can become out of hand or really difficult to locate the files you need, right? So in this case, with 11 files, we could easily drag them all into the directory as a single file. But for this project, please humor me a little bit and just try it this way so I can see that you are understanding how to organize, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull back up those folders. Here they are. Oh, wrong ones. 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull up my folders. And I'm going to just select my footage folder and my still images folder. And I'm just going to drag those into my import media. And when I drag those in, you know, I can do that by doing Shift or Control to select those. It is going to automatically create bins, as you see. So these are called bins, all right? These are the exact same thing as folders, but they only exist in Premiere, and they're used to collect and organize things. And the easiest way to create a bin is to drag a folder literally in there. The other way you can create a bin is by clicking the folder icon in your project panel, okay? But that's the easiest way, is just to drag that folder in. And notice these bins are already organized, right? This footage has all of our footage. And then our still images has all of our still images, right? So it's already organized, which is wonderful. So now what we're going to do is we're going to begin by creating a new sequence. And if you remember how to create a new sequence, the way to do that is to click this new item icon. It looks like a piece of paper. So we're going to click on that, and I'm going to choose sequence. Okay. Now I'm going to choose this DV NTSC standard 48 kilohertz. All right. You could just drag over one of the clips and use whatever presets are in there. That's fine with me for this project, as the frame rates are the same, but some of these clips are interlaced and some aren't. So you're going to get a warning if you do that. So just to be safe, make things easier, I'm going to choose the DV NTSC standard 48 kilohertz. But I'm going to make sure I name this project, right? The sequence project for my name. All right, and say OK. And now you're going to see a sequence show up in your project, okay? So before we begin to add things to the sequence, let's open up this footage bin. And let's click on we have a few different things in here, right? I'm going to go ahead and make it to where you can see this as icons. Okay. So if we take a look inside this folder, okay, this bin, let's use the correct terminology, this bin. Okay, you're going to see we have a few different B-roll clips, like Bears dumpster diving down here, Wyoming Bears dumpster diving, okay? A PSA on California game and on California Fish and Game Wardens and what they do. So Wardens in Action, that's this one, that's the PSA. There's a couple of eradication detail videos that deal with marijuana grows by cartels on public lands, and then what they do is, you know, they take over the public land, they co-op it, and then they shoot basically anyone who's trespassing onto their own property because they've taken it over. That's a little bit of a DV, documentary detail videos on that. And that's going to be used for a section where our interview subject is talking about that. The bulk work you do, though, is going to be with this interview footage right here, okay? This was taken actually by Andrew Swan, our C&M instructor. And you'll notice at the end, if I keep going, it has a little bit of B-roll footage that we can use there. So we're going to take B-roll clips, though. This interview, I should say, is the basis that we're going to use to add everything else on, and we're going to use what he is saying, okay? This is Bob Orange, by the way, okay? He's a game warden in the Plumas, California area, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut together an interview with him that has a few different portions, not all done at the same time. You can tell by the angles and views or times of day, the landscapes, different things like that, they are not at the same time of day, okay? We're going to use all of what he says in here. Okay, so we don't have a script this time to work with. That means you need to review the video. But we're going to use this interview, like I said, as a basis, as the foundation to put everything else in. So we're going to take the B-roll clips we see from everything else, and including the footage at the end of the interview, some B-roll footage like I mentioned. Okay, and when he's saying what he talks about them, okay, we're going to cover over any edits we make. We'll probably make a few edits as there are sections where Bob gets off track for a bit, or has long pauses between what he says. And there's also some transitions between different takes. Obviously, with the interview, by the way, we'll want to cut out any of the interview actually asking questions. And so to make this all easier, because this is a bit of a longer video than you're used to, okay, we're going to look at some tools. So his footage is like 5 minutes or so, and that's more than you have had to deal with. So let's talk about markers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to double click the interview footage, and I'm going to bring it up here, and my source monitor, right? And here's Bob. Okay. Now markers. Let's talk about markers. We've used endpoint and out points. We've used comma and period, right? Now we're going to use markers. And markers are to remind ourselves of what one is talking about from section to section. So we're going to start at the beginning here, and we want to make sure we remove any sections, like I said, where the interviewer is talking to Bob, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. So let's get play. Remember our JKLs, right? Oh, let's have it in the right panel selected. Let me get back to the beginning. Okay. Let's just turn this down a little for us. All right, let's see.
It's about what is your regular patrol? What kinds of things do you do normally? In Plumas County.
Well, Plumas County.
Okay, so he starts to talk there, right? So let's back it up.
Okay,
let's go ahead in there. And what I'm going to do, right, is we can start there. We're going to remove again where he's going to cover a lot of ground in this. Okay, he's going to talk for quite a while. If I go all the way, drag this all the way to the very beginning. Okay, right.
It's about what is your regular what is your regular patrol? What kinds of things do you do normally in Plumas County?
Okay, we know he's going to talk right there, so I'm going to just stop right there. Okay, this opening section is him talking about his patrol, things he's done, going to do on patrol. So we're going to get right before he starts talking right there. We're going to add a marker, and we're going to do this the first way we can do that, and that's by hitting M as in marker on our keyboard. So I hit an M, and as you see right here, okay, let me go ahead and as you see down here, it put a marker point right there, right? Okay, you can see that right here in the top left. All right, so this is what we call a clip marker. Clip markers, they stay with the clip. However you cut up or move it or wherever, that clip marker is going to be there. And it actually gets embedded into the original file. So I know I said nothing we do will mess with the original file. This doesn't exactly mess with it, okay? It doesn't change the picture or anything. It just gives us an area to add a note. So if we hover over it, and I double click that marker right there, so let's double click the marker. It comes up here, and we can add a name for this note, okay? And it's to give us a reminder again of what he's talking about. It's again for organization, okay? So I'm gonna say, Bob talks about patrol, okay? And then I'm just going to say, okay, and look, you can change your comment markers. The green's a little hard for me to see, so maybe I'm going to go with a blue this time so I can see it and say, okay. All right. And then I can just, it's really, you know, I can just kind of go forward with this. So what I can do now is I've made that marker, and I can make another. So one other thing is we can also extend the duration, okay, of the marker to a certain length. I don't do it necessarily, but you can. So let's keep watching. Let's go ahead and get back over here. Remember our JKLs. Oh, let me get back to where I was. Let's just go back to that marker.
In Plumas County.
Well, Plumas County, you know, what we do is dictated by the season, and around the different hunting seasons, what the wildlife is doing. What we're doing is dictated by the wildlife is doing. Now this is the end of winter going into spring. We got the turkey season's open up tomorrow. Where we're going right now is up to Lake Basin for check ice fishermen. We've been checking ice fishermen for the past couple of months. They've been really good catching brookies. And with the snow melt, that'll then before too awful long, and then we'll switch gears into working trout fishermen. That'll start in a month, and the season's open. And Then after that, we go in the spring and the summer, and then you get into illegal bear hunting, bear and houndsmen coming in and taking bear illegally, so we'll start focusing on that. And then, of course, recreation is coming up this area and working, and then also people working in the streams illegally, lake shores illegally, just doing all sorts of work in that regard. And then you run into deer season and waterfowl season, and things are really get hectic then. Late fall, just go nuts, actually. Right now, it's kind of a slow time out of the year, if you want to call it slow, but we're still really busy.
So I'm going to just stop it right there. Okay, so we know right now, let's go ahead and hit M again. Bob's talking about bears. Let's give ourselves a note. I'm going to double click on that marker. And I'm going to say, Bob talks about bears. Now this is going to be a really good marking point because I know that in my B-roll footage, I have some bear footage. So that's awesome. So that's going to be great. Okay. Now, okay, so now we have two markers here. And now we can, just quickly find some sections. But here is the cooler part here. Okay, so let's go right before that first marker. Okay, so I'm just going to go backwards a little. I can get it to go. Right here, let's see.
Normally, in Plumas County.
Well, Plumas County,
Okay, so there we were, right before it, right before that mark. If we wanted to do an in point and an out point at the end of this interview, right, put an I here, I can do that. Go ahead and hit an I. Zoom on through, right? I could even, go to the end of this interview. Say, let's see.
Behind that are polluting the stream of the ground. These guys are left.
Let's just act like that's the end. I can hit my out point, right? And I can go ahead and insert this. So let's go ahead and just stick that in there. And there it went. I hit my comma, remember, to put that footage in there. But one thing I want to show you that's kind of cool is look at that. There's our markers inside our footage. So if I hover over that marker, it's going to tell me Bob talks about bears right there, okay? And that is something that is really, really great. So now, obviously, that's a fun cut. It's not the cut altogether. We don't leave them as is. Let's go ahead and we're going to mess with this a little bit more. But essentially, I'm just going to show you one more thing, and it's going to be how to create a subclip. So let's get to where he's going to ask the question.
What sort of mileage does the average warden put on their truck?
Okay, so we know that's a cut right there. I'm going to go ahead and raise it right there. Remember, it's going to snap to my playhead marker. And now I can back up. Let's see. Go ahead. All right, did you see that cut? Let's see it. Okay, so we know right there. Let me go back a little.
Then we got to go to work at night and take care of those.
Okay, let's cut there. Throw that cut in. Okay. So we're cutting out a weird thing right here, right? I'm going to go ahead and select that. And now, let's go ahead. Let's get rid of that. Come in here. Let's just say, I want to find, I know there's some B-roll here. Ah, there we go. Of him driving. Think about right there. Okay, so now I'm going to take that. I'm going to go ahead and put an I there. ahead and O there. Let's take that selection. So now look where my marker is. I don't want it to go into the V1 and the A1 channels. I want them to go into the V2 and A2 channels. So make sure you're marking that. Go ahead and mute that A2 channel. That's where we want this insert to go. And instead of using the period, we're going to use a comma. So now I have that, and I can just comma that on in there. Isn't it working for me? It should work. Maybe I didn't put my in and out points. Point being, it'll put them right here, right? So, see if I can see if that's selected or not. Now let's try it. I didn't hit my out point. And there it goes right there, right? I can also, you know, see how that looks. But basically, that's what we want to do. We want to do quick cuts right here. I don't want this to be like that. You know, I could easily just pull it over and get rid of that. And we could see how that looks.
We want to call a residential area in the communities. People will call in, and of course we're responsible for that. So we respond back to those. So in addition to working during the days, once those animals are nocturnal, then we've got to go to work at night and take care of those.
Doesn't quite work, but this is just me showing you how to add in clips in a different area. As part of the project, you're going to need to go through all of this B-roll that has just passed the interview, starting with the turkeys in the field to the end. And for each new piece of footage in there, make a subclip, label it, and put it in a subclips bin. So let's talk about creating a new bin. I have all these little, this was a subclip right here. Maybe I want to take this of him driving down the road. What I can do is in my project panel, I can make this a subclip. I've selected it here. Instead of inserting it, I can right click in the middle and I choose make subclip. Again, that's an in and out point. Right click in the middle of this monitor and choose make subclip. And then you're going to name it, and it's automatically going to choose what that footage was. This is front view driving down road. Okay, when I do that, I have a subclip right here. Okay, and that's in my bin footage. But what I could do is make a new bin, call it my subclips, and you do need to do this. And then that subclip footage has a different icon. Let's put that into my subclip. So every marker point you make, I would like you to put it in your subclips folder here in the project folders. Again, to do that, you find what you want. Maybe I want this kitty. Okay. Then I'm going to go forward to there. Maybe that's the kitty I want. I hit O. I right click. I make a subclip. And I name this Bobcat in Cage. Now, put that in my subclips, and there it is. Now we have subclips, still images, and footages, okay? This just helps us edit quickly, and in a real-world project, you would have other bins like B-roll, music, sound effects, etc., and just have everything sorted out. As part of the project, you need to go through all of the B-roll, like I said. You need to make sure you have subclips. And again, I've demoed this. In point, out point, right click in the middle, make subclip, okay? So, there's one other type of marker. Let's say we didn't like this and we needed a different clip, okay? We could, and hit the M to make a marker in the sequence. That's, if we did that over here, I can make a marker over here. Say, right here. Switches right there, right? I can hit an M here, and notice it makes a marker up here. Same idea. I can double click on that marker, and I can give it a comment and say, new angle, give B roll here. Something like that, right? Now the difference with these secret markers is they do not carry over like the other markers do, like the clip markers do. Okay, so they're useful when doing a first pass or having an element you don't want to move but you want to call out instead. You can also drag your clip that you've selected down from the source monitor, by the way, and put that in. Okay, so there's a few different ways to stick those in here. These are very helpful tools for narrative work and documentary work, and are also very useful when working with editors and other groups. One more thing I need to mention for this group, and that is transitions. Okay, so a transition is a particular type of effect that transitions from one thing to another, usually between two clips that are adjacent, or from a section where there's no video or audio to one that has it, or vice versa. Those are usually fade in or fade out and accomplished using transitions. So one of the requirements for this project is to put a fade in at the beginning and one at the end of the entire project by adding a cross dissolve. In order to do this, you're going to go over here to your Edit Effects panel, okay? And you're going to choose Video Transitions. Now, in Video Transitions, you will notice, okay, that there's all kinds of them, and wipe and some of these are really silly. But what we are going to do is, again, we want to add a fade in or fade out at the end, okay? And that we're going to do this with a cross dissolve. And notice how it's highlighted? That is our default. So I grab it, I drag it, I stick it to the front. When I do that, if I run my marker back to the front of this video, by the way, okay, you can see there it is, and I can drag that out and have that cross dissolve come in even longer. I can even come in, go to my audio, back to my effects, go to audio transitions. You want to add a crossfade onto your audio, okay, and put that down there. You're going to do that at the beginning and the end. I do not need transitions between clips, just beginning and end of the entire sequence, okay? To add a picture, it's the same as when adding a video. And remember, if this is the wrong size, you will right-click and you can scale to frame size, or, which is right here, or you can come to your still images just to show you real quick. If I put a still image in here, that's not the whole thing. We can't see it. So I can click on it, and up here, I can choose my effect controls, and I can actually drag these to fit. So you can also do something like that, okay? There's a few ways to scale them. So play with it some, drag them, mess with the numbers, get it framed in. We'll look more later on with how to do still images. Fill out his whole interview, cover up your jump cuts with a B-roll footage, and best of luck with this. Try your best. I'm sure it's going to be great. If you have any questions, feel free to see me during office hours. All right, bye-bye.